Good morning, afternoon, or evening, Panthers. I'm Rianne from KJLS Panthercast, bringing you this week's hopefully entertaining news. Today is Friday, April 17th, 2020, and we have some great news reports for you today. Our first news report is on the Open Libraries Initiative by Spencer.
Hey Panthers, I'm Spencer from KJLS Panthercast. For almost 10 years, the Internet Archive has set up the Open Libraries Initiative, a free public library online. In order to prevent issues with piracy, they treated their files like a regular library, with limited number and wait times. However, in light of recent events, the Open Library has been converted into the National Emergency Library, with no waiting and unlimited books. While this may at first seem like a good thing, giving out free unlimited copies of books is not exactly a good thing for authors, since no one needs to buy books if you can get every single book in the world for free. Multiple renowned authors, including the Authors Guild, denounced the library for acting as a piracy site in the guise of an educational library. Though it might seem good that students can now have access to information, this open piracy is terrible for the authors, whose livelihoods depend on people paying for the books. For now, the library is still open, and you should take advantage of the resource. Just don't expect it to keep running forever. For KJLS Panthercast, this has been Spencer Wu-Chin.
Thanks for introducing us to this great new resource, Spencer. Now we have Emma with For the Love of Animation.
Hey Panthers, I'm Emma, and today I want to talk about animation and basically how great it is. And when I say animation, I mean all sorts. I mean 2D animation, like in old school Disney movies, or in stop motion, like Coraline or Corpse Bride, or even 3D animation, like in modern Pixar movies. There's a lot to love about animation, whether it's just to entertain people or to kill time during quarantine. If there's one thing about animation that I know, is that it takes a lot of time to do. And to prove this, I'm making an animation of this bird flying, and I'm actually just writing down how long it takes to make this, just to prove that it kills a lot of time. To animate, you don't really need any of these fancy programs or buy something that costs hundreds of dollars. You can animate on your phone with day-to-day objects, or even just post-it notes. There's no paywall that inhibits you from learning the skill, and you don't even really need to know how to draw. I think the magic of animation lies in its ability to bring any story to life. Whether it's a comedy, a drama, or a thriller, animation has the potential to do all of that. It's making hundreds of thousands of individual frames that work together to make an impact on people. And that's pretty powerful in my opinion. And while I say this, you might even have a favorite show that you have in mind, and that's the impact of animation right there. There's a certain misconception in mainstream media that animation is, quote, just for kids. But taking one look at all the animated shows and movies created immediately discredits that claim, as people, including kids and adults, actively enjoy a lot of animated media together. Animation isn't just for kids, because in my eyes, innovative storytelling and boundless creativity have no age limit, and nothing can, and ever will, change that. Anyone can enjoy it in the grand scheme of things, which is especially important now more than ever. People need something that entertains, inspires, and brings them together in the darkest of times. And I believe that something is animation. Thanks for watching, and stay safe.
Thank you for the introduction to the world of animation, Emma. And now, with ideas about tech-free activities, we have Rahil.
Hey Panthers, Rahil here from the KJLS Quarantine Broadcast at Home Edition. Today, I thought it would be new and exciting to dive into ways in which we can limit ourselves from technology, specifically the phones and devices that we have all around us. I also thought it would be cool if I could explain why too much technology is bad for us and why it can wire people up. It's quite simple for us to make this a practice, so let's make it one. As many of us already know, technology can play a vital part in our lives. Us being teenagers, we are starting to need technology more than ever. Technology is widely used and can help us in many ways. For example, technology provides us with great ways to stay in touch with friends and family, and technology can help get active entertainment. Most importantly, technology can help save lives. For example, in situations of an emergency, a phone can be useful for contacting emergency services. That said, research from UCLA shows that, quote, 6th graders who went 5 days without glancing at a smartphone, television, or any other digital screen did substantially better at reading human emotions than 6th graders from the same school who continued to spend hours each day looking at their electronic devices. In addition, according to sleepfoundation.org, quote, using TVs, tablets, smartphones, laptops, or any other electronic device before bed delays your body's internal clock, aka your circadian rhythm, suppresses the release of the sleep-inducing hormone, melatonin, and makes it more difficult to fall asleep. This is largely due to the short wavelength, artificial blue light that's emitted by these devices. Video games and watching TV are always something you can do in your free time to wind down, but in moderation, of course. One researcher at the University of California, Los Angeles, does not believe we should lay all of the blame on technology, saying, quote, I feel that actually we should rather say humans are using technology in such a way that it's affecting their health. Humans are making the choice to be so obsessed with technology. But during this time of self-isolation, it may not be too smart to sit in front of devices the entire day, but instead find something that is creative and enjoyable that would not involve interacting with outsiders, but at the same time does not involve technology. Statistics from eMarketer estimate that we spend 3 hours, 43 minutes on the use of mobile devices and 3 hours, 35 minutes daily using TVs, totaling to up to about 7 hours daily on the use of technology. Ways in which we can limit ourselves is simple. Create plans saying that when you want to use your free time for tech, but also create a time for non-technology related activities, including art, reading, writing, cooking, or any other fun activity that isn't technology, of course. Alright, Panthers, this is Rahil from the KJLS Panthercast, and stay safe.
Thanks for your creative ideas, Rahil. Now we have Jonathan reviewing an online library.
Thanks, Rianne. The City Library and School District have plenty of resources for bookworms and avid readers alike. These resources are Canopy, Hoopla, and Overdrive/Sora. This week, I'll be looking at Overdrive and Sora.
JLS utilizes both Overdrive and Sora, but to start, let's take a look at Sora. Sora is a school-focused version of Overdrive. On the KJLS Middle School Sora site, there is a wide variety of audiobooks and ebooks. Sora works on both computer browsers and mobile devices, the latter using the Sora app. On both platforms, readers are able to both stream and download books. Sora can be found on the JLS Library homepage, and the list of links for online resources. Overdrive is used by Palo Alto City Library. The City Library utilizes the Northern California Digital Library. This means a massive collection of books and audiobooks. The library can be accessed using a browser along with a desktop and mobile app called Libby. Both platforms utilize different ebook formats. For Kindle owners, many books have an option to be read on a Kindle device. A second format for ebooks is EPUB. This is the format that apps use. Audiobooks use MP3 as their format. Loans last from 14 to 21 days on both programs and are automatically returned. The maximum number of books allowed to be checked out on Sora is 4. On Overdrive, it is 10. The book can be renewed as long as no one else is requesting the book.
Overdrive and Sora are both great options for audiobooks and ebooks. Next week, I'll be taking a look at Canopy. Until then, this has been Jonathan from KJLS. Now back to Rianne.
Thanks for the review, Jonathan. Now we head over to Roxana.
Times are changing, and business owners are learning to adapt to the developing circumstances. For many companies, social distancing means closing up shop, while others remain open despite the coronavirus. So how do you define what's really helping your customers? In this news segment, we'll investigate how both large and local organizations have found ways to stay in the market and support their communities, all while maintaining a 6-foot business.
Hey Panthers, I'm Roxana Reed from KJLS Panthercast, and in this week's episode of 6-Foot Business, I'm going to talk about a local entrepreneur named Connie Butner.
I'm Connie Butner. I have Let's Go Crafting, and We are a fiber arts school that specializes in individualized instruction in basically anything fiber arts related. I realized I would have to start adapting my business structure pretty much as soon as activities for the schools were getting canceled. My studio is a little on the smaller side, so social distancing is not possible here. That's when I started to realize that I'm really going to have to rethink how I'm doing everything. I was trying to think of ways that I could connect with my students. I've been releasing these free YouTube videos just to help everybody maintain a little bit of creativity. The response has actually been amazing. Right now, as of today, we've collected 225 masks that have been made, most of them made from that video. People have been making them by hand sewing, by machine. They've gone to different hospitals, they've gone to the VA, they've gone to physical therapists. I mean, Roxana, you know that I think that creating things with your hands is really important. I think for stress relief, for anxiety relief, for mental health, just to sit and knit or sew, it's just so calming. And every little bit that I can help is important to me. I'm just so proud of our community, and I'm so glad that I could help out in this way. It's been really, really nice.
Thanks, Connie. If you're inspired by what Connie had to say, go to www.letsgocrafting.org and follow her footsteps by lending a hand to healthcare workers in need. When times get hard, it's important to look for new ways to make the situation better for others. From Let's Go Crafting, this has been Roxana from KJLS, keeping a distance. Now back to the anchors.
Thanks for your creativeness, Roxana. Now, for the latest trends, we head to Gene.
Hey there folks, my name is Gene Shumakov and I'm your host for this week's episode of Trend Review, the show where we review 3 things: music, movies, and books. Today we're going to start off with reviewing a book that I recently read, called The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. This book is about a German girl living during the time of World War II, in which her parents are figured out to be communist and she is orphaned to 2 fellow members of the Jewish society. Of course, we don't know that. And so her life is completely turns around as she follows Nazi Germany, and she doesn't realize that her parents are communists, that a Jew comes to live in their house, and she slowly starts to quietly rebel against the whole Nazism ideals and stuff like that. And so she steals books and reads them, and this is essentially a chronicle of her tales, told by none other than Death, him or herself. The overall narrative is a great 9 out of 10. There's a lot of great character builds, and the characters and dialogue, it's witty, it's funny, it's humorous. The characters are great. The only problem that I have with it is that I feel like they spend a little bit too long trying to make themselves feel like a little existential, like more important than it really is. But overall, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak is a great book, and I would highly recommend it to read during this time. Now, the movie. We're going to be talking about the March release of Disney and Pixar's latest film, Onward. Now, Onward is a classical Disney movie. It has great animation, it has great emotional beats, it's a great ending, and there's some pretty good characters. But it's still a 7 out of 10. Because, first off, the voice actors feel a little bit misplaced. Like, they don't really feel like they're acting to be their characters. I don't think Chris Pratt did a good enough job, but I still feel like that the characters were okay. The setting was interesting, but I feel like they don't go into the setting that much besides using it for a few sight gags, like the whole unicorns being equivalent of raccoons thing that you'd see in the trailer. And I feel they could have touched a little bit more on the magic element of it. Like, they could have used more spells, but at least they explained them, which kind of feels like something they didn't with Harry Potter, because, you know, for Harry Potter, they just kind of, it's like, oh yeah, this spell exists and you just have to do this, and boom, that happens. But with Onward, you actually have to, it's like, okay, so to do this spell, which does this, you have to do this and then do that and blah 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 blah, and then they finally accomplish it, and it feels like an achievement. And that's what I like about Onward. The overall narrative that they tell, it's really slow to start off. It doesn't feel interesting, but by the very end, it turns into, there's a great climax. It's an amazing movie, and I'd highly recommend you watch it. Now, heading over to the music, we have the 2018 vinyl release of Gorillaz' latest album, The Now Now. Now, the reason why this was such a weird album for Gorillaz to do is because A, it was released only 1 year after their previous album, Humans. Because normally, between every single main album that they make, there's about a 3 to 4 year hiatus. And in this case, the two most recent albums, Plastic Beach in 2010 and Humans in 2017, which took a 7-year hiatus to fully release. And people did not like the reception of Gorillaz' Humans. So Damon Albarn rushed together a new album that was more about Gorillaz and centered around the idea of peace and tranquility and reform and stuff like that. It starts off with the track Humility, which is one of their best-selling singles and one of their greatest, and it moves around into sort of a glitch hop but R&B chill vibe, which is an odd thing for Gorillaz to do. But overall, this album gets a 9 out of 10, but only, it doesn't get that extra 1 point to get itself to 10 out of 10, because it doesn't really, even though it tries to make you go somewhere, it doesn't, and it just feels like a side project rather than something that Gorillaz would do. And that's it for today's trend review. My name is Gene Chumakov, and I hope to see you on the next episode, so make sure to tune in for next week and wash your hands, people.
Thanks for the trend recommendations, Gene. Now over to Nathan with another installment of Weird and Wacky News.
Hey Panthers, I'm Nathan Kerner, and welcome to this week's installment of Weird and Wacky News. The Prime Minister of New Zealand has declared that some special creatures will continue their services.
You'll be pleased to know that we do consider both the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny to be essential workers.
She is worried about kids getting scared in this time of crisis. A man in Washington who led police in a high-speed car chase blamed the accident on his dog. The dog was sitting in the driver's seat while his owner drove the steering wheel. When the man was accused of hit and run, reckless driving, and evading authorities, he claimed he was teaching the dog how to drive. A patrol officer commented, "I wish I could make this up. I've been a trooper for almost 12 years and wow, I've never heard this excuse." An English man broke quarantine to drive 120 miles for cheap bread. The man lives in Nottingham and he drove all the way to London just to buy bread that it was €1 cheaper, which is about $1.10. Now it's time for some toilet paper news. A Florida man who wanted to make fun of the toilet paper buying bonanza hung a giant replica of toilet paper next to the American flag in his lawn. A man in California started a toilet paper charity. People drop off toilet paper, and he gives it to the families in need of toilet paper. And finally, to wrap things up, there's an article on BoredPanic.com showing the 40 dumbest headlines of all time. Here are some of the best. We hate math. 4 out of 10, a majority Americans. China may be using sea to hide submarines. Diana was still alive hours before she died. Think of headline. 56-point board headline. Bridges help people cross rivers. Rooms with broken air conditioners are hot. Survey finds fewer deer after hunt. Man kills himself and runs away. Woman missing since she got lost. That's it for this week's Weird and Wacky News. I'm Nathan from KJLS. Now back to Rianne.
Thanks for the wacky news, Nathan, and thank you for tuning into this week's broadcast. This has been Rianne from KJLS Panthercast. Stay safe and remember, make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.